Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, I want to go over the last couple of Toronto Maple Leaf games and highlight some interesting news and notes, and I want to talk about Mark Giordano's play so far, and I also want to highlight Nick Abruzzese, who signed a contract over the weekend, and Matthew Knies as well. The game last night against the Montreal Canadiens was severely frustrating because the Maple Leafs controlled the vast majority of the shot attempts, the actual shots, the scoring opportunities, the high danger shot attempt share, the expected goals, but not the actual goals. And before we start harping on shot selection here, the vast majority of the Maple Leaf shots did come from right in front of the Montreal net. Even if you want to exclude their first period, which was by far their best, in the second and the third, it's still the same story. I only caught bits and pieces of the first period on TV, and then I listened to the second period on the radio, but I watched the third period. And what I can tell you from watching that third period is that they had a lot of shots. They had a lot of opportunities. There were a lot of pucks in and around the Montreal net, but the Maple Leafs didn't take advantage of any second and third opportunities, and there wasn't a whole lot of traffic in front. I'm trying not to overreact or underreact to this one game offensively, because while I think that they could have done a better job generating more second and third opportunities and had more traffic in front of Jake Allen, they also had 51 shots on goal. And he did play very well. You add in a couple of posts, you throw in that they really didn't get a bounce to go their way in this one, and I'm not going to hyper-focus on this one game, especially when the team has been much better at generating second and third opportunities and getting traffic in front and scoring greasy goals, and that effort has been spearheaded by that top line of Michael Bunting, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner. So I don't think the Maple Leafs lost this game offensively at 5-on-5. If you watch Sheldon Keefe's post-game, he has high praise for his team, but he points out William Nylander, and we'll get to that in a minute. But on the 1-1 goal here, here's William Nylander, and here's the eventual goal scorer, David Savard. And William Nylander coming in over the blue line, he's about even with him here, and then by the time David Savard scores the goal, there is a noticeable gap where Nylander doesn't get his stick in there or take positioning away from him at all. Nylander saying it himself post-game. I had a mistake on the back check. I didn't back check all the way on Savard. I think that's a big factor. I've got to be there to stop momentum. The problem that I have with him calling it a mistake is, he's right there. You're looking at him. You're breathing on him, basically, and you just let him go by. There are definitely bigger and smaller mistakes, and if you're looking at the rest of this picture, everyone has their guy. If Nylander just takes his, this is not a goal. And then Sheldon Keefe saying no, not close when asked if he's been satisfied with Nylander's play over the last month or so. And yeah, that's basically been Nylander this entire season. You love him because he's uberly talented, but he frustrates you because you know that he can be better. And then there's this quote from Sheldon Keefe on what Nylander has to do. Move his feet, get involved, get engaged on both sides of the puck. Things have really stalled there. And the most frustrating thing about this is that it's from over 2.5 weeks ago. But something that gets lost in Sheldon Keefe calling out William Nylander here is that Nylander asked Keefe to do this when he felt that his game was lacking. But you call a guy out for not being involved on both sides of the puck, and then you do it again and again and again. How many times you got to call a guy out for the same thing? And to Nylander's credit, he did respond in this game after this 1-1 goal. He was demoted off of that second line with John Tavares, and he had a shift in the offensive zone where the play was going back the other way, and he stripped the puck carrier of it, and the Maple Leafs were able to maintain zone pressure because of that. And then he scored the 2-1 goal as well. I like that part of his game. I just wish there was a bit more consistency there. But also, if you're Sheldon Keefe and you keep hearing the same song and seeing the same dance, isn't it up to you to make a change? Be the change that you want to see in this world, Sheldon. You got 18 regular season games left. If you got to shake up the top 6 to get both of those top 2 lines rolling, do it. The most depressing thing about John Tavares and William Nylander playing together over the last 3 seasons is that the underlying numbers are positive. They're in their favor in terms of the shot attempts, the actual shots, scoring opportunities, the expected goals. But when you're looking at the actual goals, they've been outscored 77-76 when those two guys are on the ice together, and that's just not acceptable. Whether it's from them not having that third guy to play with or not, either find that third guy or find a better balance within your top 6. If I'm going to harp on the duo of Tavares and Nylander, I also got to talk about Spezza and Simmons because, again, in a game where the Maple Leafs vastly controlled the shot attempts, the shots, the scoring opportunities, the expected goals, that fourth line sucked. If we're looking at Wayne Simmons' game score so far this season, this was a player that was adding a decent amount of value to your lineup before the new year. But since then, he's got no goals and has been healthy scratched as well. And we already know from the trade deadline and a 32 Thoughts article that the Maple Leafs wanted to shore up their fourth line. And they get a guy like Colin Blackwell, who was on pace for 21 goals last year with the New York Rangers and 16 goals this year with the Seattle Kraken, who plays with a bit of a physical edge as well and can play higher up in your lineup, but ideally he's just part of a really good fourth line. Between Colin Blackwell, Jason Spezza, Anze Kasha when he's healthy, Nick Robertson, and Nick Abruzzese, maybe even Matthew Knies as well, they should be able to figure that out. The other thing to come out of this game against the Montreal Canadiens is the non-tripping goal on Austin Matthews here. And if I'm being honest with you, if I'm looking at this play, I don't think it's a penalty. Byron's skate does clip his, and that's what causes Matthews to fall over, and the Montreal player standing behind does give him a bit of an extra shove afterwards. But I've watched this replay like 100 times. I can't see Byron extend his skate or extend his leg to accidentally on purpose trip Austin Matthews. If you watch the play in real time, his eyes never leave the puck. I think that they were just battling for position, and what happened was unfortunate, especially because the play went the other way, and that was the game-winning goal. For the referee to be standing right here, I mean, it could be a penalty, but I don't think that it is. A non-call that was more egregious to me that happened late in the third period was the cross-check on Michael Bunting here. It didn't really affect possession or the play, but it's really quite blatant. But to be fair, those two things happened after the Maple Leafs got 3 consecutive power plays, and they did nothing with them. If you want to know where they lost the game, that's where they lost the game. Looking at this game against the New Jersey Devils that took place on Wednesday, the Maple Leafs again controlled the majority of the shot attempt share, the actual shots, the scoring opportunities, the high danger shot attempt share, and the expected goals in this one, and I actually thought that Peter Mrazek played quite well. And yeah, it's the Devils, and they were on the second half of a back-to-back, but on the first half of it, they scored 7 goals and chased Igor Shesterkin from the net. So that is a team that is capable of playing fast and scoring goals. In a game where the Maple Leafs played very strong defensively, there was really only one hiccup, and it was the second goal, where this is Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, so they're not the biggest guys, but Peter Mrazek makes a huge initial save on Jack Hughes, I believe, and then both players are able to get behind all the Maple Leaf players and take several whacks at the puck. That's just not acceptable. But again, in a game where they played very well defensively, it was one hiccup. He stopped 20 of 22. One of them really wasn't his fault. That's a .909 save percentage. We can work with that. But at the same time, he's playing tonight on the second half of a back-to-back against the Florida Panthers. So, we'll see. The craziest thing about that game against the Devils was that the Maple Leafs scored 2 goals shorthanded, and Ilya Mikheyev getting one of them. And I saw a stat on Twitter that was absolutely insane, so I needed to look it up here. But in 51 minutes on the penalty kill this year, the Maple Leafs have outscored their opponents 4-3 with Ilya Mikheyev on the ice. Obviously, there's a degree of luck involved there, but at the same time, that's insane. The last thing that I want to talk about here, before I touch on Nick Abruzzese and Matthew Knies, is the play of Mark Giordano and Timothy Liljegren. It's just been 2 games, but Timothy Liljegren looks different playing next to Mark Giordano than he did against Morgan Rielly. A little bit more calm, a little bit more confident. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from these 2 guys. It's just 2 games, but the results have been very encouraging. And if you watch Mark Giordano play, yeah, he's not as quick as what he used to be, but his foot speed is not what makes him good at defense. It's just him being a relentless jerk and being on top of you the second you touch the puck. To see a guy who's 38 jump up in the rush as much as what he does, he's not able to be as effective as what he used to be, obviously, because he can't carry the puck into the offensive zone and create plays that way. But the Maple Leafs are one of the better teams in the NHL at dumping the puck in and retrieving it. And if he can help get the puck out of our own zone and just dump it in and let our forwards do the rest of the work, yeah, he'll fit in nicely. He's not going to overpower you with his size or throw big hits, but that's never been his MO, and he's always been good defensively. He's going to be on you from the word go. He's going to defend the middle off the rush. He's going to take care of the front of his net. He's going to not take chances and force plays. He's just going to be a calming, stable presence, and I like that. And just because I ran the polls, I might as well show them. 292 people voted in this. Is Mark Giordano a top 4 defenseman? 91% say yes. And then a follow-up poll to this is, on a good team, where does he slot in? Is he a number 2, 3, 4, or 5? And the majority voted for number 3, but I'd say he's a really good number 4 defenseman on a good team. If you want anyone mentoring Timothy Liljegren at this point, it's Mark Giordano. And then Nick of the LeafsNation.com here, and also of several other things, he does awesome work, had the inside scoop that Nick Abruzzese was going to sign a 2-year entry-level deal with the Maple Leafs this weekend. 5'10", 174 pounds, he's 22, turning 23 this year, but this is a guy who is a top prospect in college hockey for a number of years now, and he had an opportunity to play for Team USA at the Olympics this year and had 4 points in 4 games over there. He was the captain of his Harvard University team. This is a player that I'm really interested in. By the limited scouting reports that I've had an opportunity to read, he's a very skilled, very smart hockey player, and it sounds like he's going to get an opportunity to play some games between now and the end of the regular season. I wouldn't count or rely on him being good or a solution to the problem on their second line or that fourth line, but at the same time, I am curious to see what he's got. Switching gears to Matthew Knies, though, and I'll try my best to temper expectations here because he is just 19, but he's 6'3" at over 200 pounds, and it doesn't matter where he's played this year, he's been absolutely phenomenal. I'll leave links to the clips of the plays that he made in the previous video, but with Kyle Dubas in the building in an elimination playoff game, this guy laid a devastating hit along the boards, and then in another sequence, caught a puck out of midair, passed it to himself, and got off a quick, really wicked wrister to tie the game at 3 late in the third period. Like I said, this guy's been phenomenal wherever he's played so far this year, and to do that in an elimination game with Kyle Dubas in the building, this guy wants it, and he wants it bad. And Elliot Friedman is on the hype train, saying that he will play games for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year after his NCAA season finishes up. And with Minnesota advancing to the next round, I don't know how long that'll go on for, but there is a chance that he could play some regular season games and maybe in the playoffs as well. Again, he's just 19 years old, but if we had to do a redraft last year, there is no way this guy goes 57th overall. I have a hard time believing that he would slip lower than top 10 or top 15. With the way that the games went yesterday, the Leafs fell out of an Atlantic playoff spot. But if you're looking at the Boston Bruins with 87, the Lightning with 86, and the Leafs with 85, and Boston having played one more game than either Tampa Bay and Toronto, there's probably going to be a lot of switching over the next couple of weeks or so I wouldn't overreact to that just yet. And if I'm being honest with you, they're not really in any danger of missing the playoffs, and the Capitals have played 3 more games than them, and they're a point behind. So if the Leafs were to finish with that wild card 1 spot, they would play the Carolina Hurricanes right now in the playoffs. And the first time they played them this year, the Carolina Hurricanes kind of killed them. The last 2 times, even without Austin Matthews, in the most recent one, I don't mind that matchup, especially with the way that we know that Frederik Andersen handles playoff pressure. But then I think about the possibility of Frederik Andersen eliminating the Toronto Maple Leafs from the playoffs, and that I don't like that. Which brings us to tonight's game against the Panthers, Tuesday's game against the Boston Bruins, and if we look ahead a little bit in the schedule here, they got the Lightning and the Panthers back to back in the second week of April. They'll play the Bruins and Lightning 2 more times before the end of the regular season, including ending the season playing Boston at home, and they'll play the Panthers 3 more times between now and the end of the regular season. Show up. Please show up for these games and give us something to feel good about going into the playoffs. Please. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Make sure to like it if you did like it and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, Peter Mrazek in net tonight against the Florida Panthers. I'm crossing every limb, man. Like everything. I can't possibly cross anything else. Please hold it together and play well tonight.